So why not? Why not get the microphone going here? Why not do that? I'm feeling very Chris LeBrainy this morning because it's been, as predicted, busy, and I'm trying to finish up. This little bit of consulting work I got by before I leave, because it's $250 paycheck for me. So, you know, I had a full day of work yesterday, and I came home, dinner, whatnot. If you know what I mean, whatnot. And then I worked 4 hours, hunched over the computer, doing this web consulting work. Exhausting. But aside from that, Emily, you beautiful woman, you. Gut reaction to your video, like the instantaneous first reaction, genuine and honest. And I've got all of these thoughts in my head about what that even means. And the first thing I wanted to say was that, you know, talking about criticism and the things you've done before, and I think we're all we all are victims of this, but I think you tend to become a slave to the process. I think Tube Dorks is a very good example of that. You know, and there's the contrast. It's the versus. It's being a slave to the process versus being genuine and honest. And the Tube Dorks is a good example because, you know, you saw this format, you thought, hey, this would be a really good thing to do. This would be a good way to interact with people online. Let's do this. And then it became about the process. For me, personally, if you're being genuine and honest, I don't care who you are, but if you're being genuine and honest and real, you could post an hour-long video and I would find that interesting. And that was what I had a hard time with Tube Dorks. You know, everybody was such a slave to the process. Oh, it's Monday, gotta post my video. Oh, it's Tuesday, I gotta post my video. Oh, I've got to respond to whatever this week's theme is. Oh, we don't have a theme this week, I don't know what to talk about. Such slaves to the process that there was nothing that there ended up being nothing genuine and honest about it. Now you compare all of that. Seriously, I want you to do this. Compare all of that to this one video you just posted, Emily. And I'm so happy I should say this. I'm so happy that you got it uploaded because I was able to turn off the morning news as I was as I was waking up this morning, and I got to watch your video, and that was a pleasure. But then I got into the car, and instead of just turning the camera on right away, I turned the radio on, and I'm like, oh my god, why did I do this? It's getting exhaustive. Yes, Romney has lied. He just keeps lying. Yes, Obama had a terrible debate performance. He'll probably do better the next time. But yes, Romney continues to lie. Bald-faced. And yes, the American public apparently likes that. We are fucked as a nation. We have been fucked as a political nation. It's getting so tiresome. I don't know why I continue to keep turning it on to listen to it. But, yeah, I mean, you compare your video that you posted to anything you've done before, as it was specifically to Tube Dorks, and you see that you were very genuine and honest, and, you know, when you start with that, when you start with being genuine and honest, it's not hard to find meaning. It's not hard to find purpose. That was another thing you talked about that I thought was kind of interesting. You know, and I'm going to disregard all the medical issues. I'm going to disregard all of that. for two reasons. Number one, because everybody has something, right? You know, and you just have a unique flavor of your own kind of something. That's it. It really is, you know. Everybody has something. Their own challenges, their own roadblocks, you know. It's you can't think that, oh, you're so fucking uniquely special that you're the only person who, you know, deals with this shit, because it's just a different flavor of shit. That's all it is. But the other thing, which I think is more interesting and more enlightening, is, and I'm kind of reading between the lines, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but your whole commitment phobia and your whole issue with, I feel like it almost stems from like more your own mortality, right? And you again, you didn't quite say this specifically, but again, I'm connecting the dots here. What it comes to, you know, when you're trying to do the videos, and then you say, you kind of just end up saying, oh, what's the point, you know? And I think we saw that with Tube Dorks, you know, and it became even worse with Tube Dorks because it was you were coming at it as a slave to the process, to the format. So eventually, you know, every video is, well, what's the point? And you know, if I'm correct about that being the end emotional result, forget the commitment, forget about motivation. I think it's more motivation than commitment. I mean, that's just my personal studying analysis of the broader issues. But it's again, it's not something you're ever alone on. And I think number one, anybody who does anything creatively constantly finds themselves in that same place. But more importantly, number two, everybody does eventually. And if you're not, if you're not, the only people that don't, I think, are people who unwittingly embrace the whole ignorance is bliss thing. I mean, literally are too dumb to realize it. You know, you just look around and go, well, what's the fucking point? Well, what is the fucking point to put all of that work into webcams? You know, what is the fucking point to write the book and get it published when there's no audience for it? When there's very few people who are remotely interested in reading it? What is the point of recording these videos when I know there's really only a handful of people watching them? Yeah, am I wrong? Am I wrong that you know, you have your medical issues that kind of make you face your own mortality and the struggles you have with just feeling good during a day, right? So when you want to be creative or do something productive, but you're miserable at the same time, and I guess this is more like a year ago or something, what's the point? What's the point? If it doesn't solve your issue, if it doesn't make you immediately happy, what's the point? So maybe it is commitment. I mean, sure, part of it is commitment, but you know, I think the real thing to consider and the real thing to remember is that everybody deals with it, and it's just your own. You're lucky enough to have your own flavor of bullshit to help justify it. Your own flavor of bullshit to justify. You know, my unique flavor of bullshit generally is, you know, it has been at times debilitating neurosis. That's, I mean, and you know, that just, I mean, even I know that's silly. So, you know, at least you have something a little bit more tangible to justify it. So those are my two main thoughts. I think those are my two useful thoughts in response to your video. I've stopped taking notes. Sometimes I take notes with Slacktive's videos, but for the most part, I don't take notes because it's hard to read them and work off of them in the car. I don't know what camera you're shooting on, but I know most cameras tend to have just file size limits, and that translates into recording limits, recording time limits, of course. Oh yeah, this was my thought for you, my challenge for you was to embrace that 10-minute limit, and because the other thing you were talking about was having all these ideas that you want to. So if and I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Is that to vlog about, to create videos around, or is it just ideas? So my suggestion would be to not be so focused on whatever that end result of that idea is. You know, maybe that's, you know, baby steps, baby. You know, don't be so focused on the end result of the idea or the product of the idea, but rather the idea itself. You know, and take your 10 minutes, focus on that being honest and genuine, and don't talk about, you know, the product of the idea, but the idea itself. For me, I'm not going to get into that. That's not productive. But again, I don't know if that applies, if that means anything to you. I guess it depends on where you're coming from with your ideas and what the ideas are meant for. So, I don't know. But yeah, I would, you know, Jen pointed out I don't talk about her enough, but, you know, whose fault is that? You know, Jen, really, whose fault is that? Okay, maybe that's mine. But I think that would be an interesting, I think Jen would have an interesting perspective on the whole slave to the process thing, because she did the same thing. She did the same thing, and she did the same thing with, you know, and I don't know. Jen, was Emily's Tube Dorks inspiration for your real evolution, or was it, you know, the bigger, broader, you know, the vlog of weekly format vloggers channels, group channel? I don't even know what people call them anymore. But you know, and I've seen you come across those same challenges with your process, being, you know, okay, well, we've run out of, people have stopped asking questions, people, you know, you're running out of topics, and then what I find interesting, and this is, I'm not saying you lost me, although I did, you know, I had started watching over the Christmas holiday, my workcation. You didn't lose me. I pop in every now and then, but for me, with that vlogging channel, I think your adamant commitment to body issue, and you know, I think it's great. You should have a niche to work in, but you know what happens when that niche becomes limiting, and you know, personal as a dude with personal tastes and tends to be selective with what he watches. You know, just like I don't have anything against Victor, I just have no interest in Japan. So, you know, I love him. I'd love to support him. I just have no interest. His content does not jive with my personal interests. So, you know, that's where I'm at with the Real Evolution. Love you, Jen. Totally support you. You know that content doesn't always jive, doesn't always reconcile with my personal interests. So you know what, I don't know, you know, that's on my end. So as from your end, as the producer, right, as the creator, what have you been facing? What have you been thinking in terms of the limitations of your niche? And is there a way to grow past it? Or is it something like that's its own entity and you're still, you know, the whole genuine, honest vlogging Jenzatron channel is the real baby? I don't know. I think that would be an interesting dialogue to have in terms of dialogues that are had. Short vlog, really on point, very tight, Yes! Oh, Emily, the other thing I'm going to suggest is stop editing your vlogs. You know, that was the thing. Work within your 10 minutes. Don't edit your vlogs. Make it all about just getting in front of that camera and talking for your 10 minutes and being genuine and honest, and don't edit. Don't edit, because you know, when, you know, in terms of vlogging and in terms of being genuine and honest, in terms of being real, you know, once you start editing, you're going to take out that magic, you know, that uniqueness. I'm not. I know that sounds odd coming from me, but you know, there's time and place for it. And if you can turn on the camera and talk like you did, you know, with your dialogue video there. Granted, that was edited, but you know, if you can just be honest and talk, you don't need to edit. You don't need to edit. The people who want to watch, the people who are interested and care, they're going to watch it. Simple as that. People who don't, you never needed them in the first place. Those are my thoughts. Stay creative. Selective, buddy. I need to give you a man hug. I love you, man. I really, and yes, sincerely, I wish you could be in Vegas. I really do.